order. And oftentimes, we ask a council member to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance or lead us in a prayer. But this evening, we have some very special guests. We have Boy Scouts here, Scouts here from PAC 852. And Mr. Jolly, this is your, you have a connection with these?
Thank you, Madam President. I had an opportunity to give them a tour of City Hall before our meeting and talk to Christopher and Ethan about the functions of our city council and the government here in Livonia. I don't know if I gave them all the right information, but I tried. But they seem like very diligent young men, and we got some sisters here as well and some great parents. So we welcome them, and we'd like to welcome them up to say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Excellent, yes. So if we could all please rise. And gentlemen, if you would like to, why don't you come back here? Do you mind? Are you comfortable with coming back here? And then you can, what,
If they
right
come
there?
right up here, the cameras show them.
Okay, that, if you gentlemen come right up here, I'm gonna get out of the way. So you can look at the flag, all right? And lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and whenever you're ready, all right? Outstanding job. Would anybody like to get a picture of the boys? All right, would you like council in it or not in it?
No.
Okay, if council, if we could please
No, you're fine, you're fine.
move in here?
You guys want
No,
to
turn
turn
around.
around?
They want to see you, not us.
Yeah.
It should be really simple. There should be three resolutions. Approving, denying, committee of the whole. You vote for it.
All right, thank you. And
Good job.
and could we ask just, Scouts, would you be willing just to say hello? Because the problem is, if you're not mic'd up, people can't hear you. So would the two of you like to go up? Could you just go up to the podium and give us your names and maybe tell us where you go to school and what troop you're in? Would you like to do that? You don't have to, but you're welcome to do it. Thank you, Dan.
Hello, my name is Ethan Rippey, and I go to Johnson Elementary, and I'm part of PAC 852.
Very nice.
Hi, I'm Christopher Bennett. I go to Johnson Upper Elementary, and I'm part of PAC 852.
Very nice. Thank you. If we could all give these fine scouts a hand, and thank you for coming to visit with us. And we know that Mr. Jolly gave you an outstanding tour, and if you'll indulge me for just a moment, I want to tell you something. You did a great job. I've been saying the Pledge of Allegiance pretty regularly since about kindergarten, and I had to say it recently at an event, and I couldn't remember the words. So you did a fine job, a much better job than I did about a month ago when I had to do it in public. So thank you very much, because it's sometimes you forget, right, but outstanding. So thank you very much. We always like to have young people from the community joining us and taking the opportunity to listen to the pledge.
Madam President.
So, thank you. Please.
Point of order, I'd like to say you did a fine job.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
If I may, our president has a son that's an Eagle Scout, so, no,
He's this close.
he's this close.
He's this close.
So, very proud of Scouts, very good.
He has to, thank you, he has to finish his, citizens in the community. And he's advised me that he needs to interview a member of our city government. And I've told him I will make myself available. But if I can't, I know someone who can that he'd be very happy to talk to. But anyway, in all seriousness, thank you so much for being here tonight. All right, that's always just a great way to start the meeting. Good evening, and welcome to the 1009, and you feel free, you may leave at any time. You're always welcome to stay, but anyway, good evening, and welcome to the 1923rd regular meeting of the Livonia City Council. This is a voting meeting. Minutes of this meeting will be approved at the next regular meeting, scheduled to be held on Monday, July 12, 2021. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Councilmember White. Present. Councilmember McCullough.
Present.
Councilmember Donavick.
Present.
Councilmember Jolly.
Present.
Councilmember Toy.
Here.
Vice President Barr is absent. President McIntyre.
Here. And we have everyone but Vice President Barr with us this evening. At this time, we have the presentations of the minutes from the 1,922nd regular meeting of the City Council meeting that was held on June 14th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Support, are there any comments or corrections to the minutes? Anyone in the audience have any corrections or amendments to the minutes? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll call vote on approval of the minutes from the June 14th meeting?
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember Donavick.
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly.
Aye.
Councilmember Toy.
Aye.
President McIntyre.
Aye, and the minutes are approved by all 6 members of the council who are here this evening. At this time, we go to the council. If anyone has any personal announcements, tributes, or recognition they'd like to make, I'll begin with Councilmember Donavick, then followed by Councilmember Jolly.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to inform some residents and also say hats off, a job well done to Jerome Hanna, Director of Inspection, and the Inspection Department. As some may know, there is a burned-down restaurant at the corner of Plymouth Road and Inkster, the old Livonia Grill. It's been sitting there for almost a year now. There's been a lot of due diligence, a lot of hard work done by the Inspection Department and the insurance company and the owner and the business, and it's been sitting there as a hazard for almost a year, and it's time for it to come down. And fortunately, speaking to him, he said that it should be pulled down within this month, and it will be just a open lot and no longer will be a building, the roof caved in and all that. So I just want to say job well done to him. I know a lot of residents in the Clemens Circle area are really thrilled to hear that, and residents across our community. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilmember Donavick. Councilmember Jolly?
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to wish a happy 10th birthday to my daughter Lexi and a happy 6th birthday to my son JD. They keep us busy, not to mention the middle one, who seems to be the problem, but no, happy birthday. We'll be celebrating very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, and happy birthday to Claire and to, I'm sorry, Lexi and JD.
Hard to keep track.
It is. And I think many of us remember 6 summers ago when you were running for city council, and I think when the first time we met JD, he was about 5 weeks old. So it's been a lot of fun to watch your kids grow up, and also Claire.
Thank you.
Anyway, anyone else? Councilmember McCullough.
Thank you, Madam President. We had an interesting situation with council appointments to ZBA. I would like to, if possible, refer to committee of a whole, the process, to figure out a process of council appointments to the ZBA.
Thank you. Council?
Support.
Support from Councilmember Toy. Are there any discussion? Anyone from the audience like to discuss this? All right, so I believe what Councilmember McCullough is referring to is we've had various traditions of appointing zoning board members. We have a schedule that we inherited when our last legislative affairs director, Judy Preby, left us. And there's been some question as to how exactly the appointments and the order the appointments are determined. We've gone back through past meetings, we've asked people who were in council at the time, and as the law department indicated, there are no clear rules. And we had been, again, relying on this tradition, if you will, but it was not codified, and as a result, when things aren't codified, it leads to questions as to how things are done. So I believe the councilman is asking that we develop some clear rules and process for the appointments.
Process is always good.
Process is always good. All right, if there are no other comments, Madam Clerk, would you please take the vote on the resolution offered by Councilmember McCullough, supported by Councilmember Toy, on referring to Committee of the Whole the matter of process for ZBA appointments?
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember Donavick.
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly.
Aye.
Councilmember Toy.
Aye.
President McIntyre.
Aye, and the resolution is approved by all 6 members, so we will be placing that in committee. Thank you very much, Councilmember McCullough. Anyone else? All right, I have a few announcements. The first is that we have new data on items 7, 9A, and 20, and I will be referring specifically to that new data when we get to those items. We have one X item this evening, and we also have one public hearing that I'd like to announce scheduled for Wednesday, July 14th, regarding the Livonia Vision 21 zoning ordinance and zoning map. And I know we'll be hearing, I believe, a lot from Mr. Taramina that evening, and that will be a, for those of you who haven't been following the Livonia 21 master planning process, accompanying the process of looking at the master plan and our land use, there's been an enormous task that's been undertaken, led by Mr. Taramina, Law Department, and I know some others as well, on looking at our entire zoning ordinance and our zoning map and figuring out how we take something that's worked well but was last touched, Mark, when, how many decades ago? 60s, so probably 50 years ago, and bringing it up to where a modern city's zoning ordinance and map should be. So that's going to be a important public hearing. I'd just like to make a brief comment, just that I think all of us have been heartbroken by what we've watched unfold in Florida, in Miami-Dade County. It's just one of those terrible tragedies, and it's hard to imagine being in a situation of not knowing the status of your loved ones. And I'd like maybe that we could just take a very brief moment of silence offered for all of the victims and all of the family members. Thank you. All right, at this time, it's always my pleasure and privilege to introduce our department heads. And this is what, is this our second or third meeting back in person? Second meeting back in person after a year and a half on Zoom. And when we did the department head introductions during Zoom, it was always a little bit of a challenge because I'd have to go through a list and look at little Brady Bunch squares, but it's really nice. And still feels like a novelty to be able to do this in person. So beginning on my left, our city engineer, Mr. Todd Zelinsik. Next to Todd, our Director of Economic Development and Planning, Mark Taramina, who is also, as I mentioned, one of the people leading the Livonia 21 Vision Plan and the rezoning, the update to the zoning ordinance. And our Manager of the City Council Office and the City Council Business, Sarah Kasperovich. Continuing to my right is our City Clerk, Susan Nash, our Director of Governmental Affairs, LaShawn Thomas, our City Attorney, Mr. Paul Bernier, and I'm looking to see if we have, am I missing anybody? Pardon me? Oh, Brandy. Okay, Brandy Isaacson is our outstanding Director of Housing who snuck in back there. So good evening, everyone, and thank you, as always, to our department heads who join us every week, and also the department heads who make special appearances to come in and talk to us about their projects.
Madam Chair?
Please.
I'm very sorry. I didn't make an announcement, but in fact, I just got word. Those of you that, sad news, Amy Jetnan, very active in the Democratic Party, very much a strong advocate here in Livonia, has passed away, as well as Sue Soboleski. Any of you that knew Sue, her husband served on the Youth Commission, in fact, when I was on it, when I was young. So Susie was appointed under the Ed McNamara administration and did a fine job. So both those women will miss immensely, made Livonia what it is and has been in many cases, and spent a lot of countless hours volunteering and caring about this town as much as they both did. So thank you, Madam Chair, for allowing me to do that.
Thank you, Councilwoman Toy, and that's sad news. It's been a year, I think, of a lot of losses for a lot of people that were instrumental in making this city what it is.
That's right.
At this time, we set aside half an hour, as we do at the beginning of every meeting, for audience communication. And we're going to ask, as we always do, our City Council parliamentarian, Kathy White, if she would please read the rules for audience communication.
Thank you. Members of the public audience at the meeting shall not speak until they are recognized by the chair. Each person recognized by the chair to address the council shall identify himself or herself by name and, if appropriate, group affiliation. A person addressing council on an item on the agenda shall be limited to 2 minutes, unless the period of time is extended by a majority of the council present, and shall be recognized to speak prior to council's consideration of the item. There will be an audience communication section of not more than 30 minutes duration at the beginning of all council regular and study meetings where citizens may address the council. There will also be an audience communication section at the end of all regular and study council meetings where citizens may address the council on any matter that is not on the agenda of that meeting. Citizens who wish to expand upon their remarks will be asked to reduce the matter to writing and submit it to the city clerk, and such item may be placed on a future council study session for further consideration. A person addressing council under the audience communication portion of the agenda will be limited to a total of 3 minutes at each study or regular meeting unless the period of time is extended by a majority of the council present. A citizen may address the council once during audience communication. If the citizen has addressed the council during the first audience communication section at the beginning of the meeting, the citizen will not be permitted to address the council again during any audience communication period at the end of the meeting. Anyone addressing the council shall make responsible comments. Personal, impertinent, slanderous, or profane remarks are not permitted, and anyone causing a breach of the peace may be removed from the council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember White, and I think you said it in there, but you give notice when there's how much time left? 30 seconds?
Yes.
All right, so anyone, you have 3 minutes to address the council, and our parliamentarian will let you know when you get to the 2-minute, 30-second mark. So is there anyone from the audience that would like to address the council this evening? If so, please feel free to come to the podium. Good evening.
Hello.
Just one moment, we're pulling up our timekeeping, our sophisticated timekeeping system. Clock, that would be clock.
We gotta start paying, for those things.
All right. Okay, we have the high-tech timing device has now been located and activated. Good evening.
Hello. My name is Nancy Klein, 33373 Myrna Court. I love Livonia and have been a dedicated volunteer for over 25 years. And I've also been able to work at the Alexander Blue House in Greenmead for over 10 years. I have volunteered answering phones at the senior center, working at the gift shop. I've taught exercise classes, line dancing, worked hundreds of raising fun events at Greenmead, helped out at the book sales, and I have made lifelong friendships with the volunteers. We are family. After serving on Commission on Aging for over 18 years, I received a letter from the mayor last week asking me to immediately resign because of a conflict of interest. I will not be canceled, and I will not resign. This has never been an issue for over 25 years. All of a sudden, did someone go through some archives and come up with some cockamamie excuse to get rid of the seniors? I will not be silenced. I have a voice, and you will hear it. I have asked the mayor's office for a copy of this ordinance. It says that it is a conflict of interest for me to be on the Commission on Aging and also to be at Greenmead. I would like to know what that conflict of interest is. I make no decisions. I make no advisory things at Greenmead whatsoever. I am a house hostess, person watching parties. That's all I do. I was wondering if any people in the Parks and Recreation Department have also received any of these letters that they have to resign from any of their positions. I am here to represent the people who have had to resign or chose to, and for future people that may receive letters, I am not like them. I will not resign. If I have to, I will get legal representation. Getting back to the Commission on Aging, I was very disappointed to learn that the mayor's recent appointment to the Commission on Aging is someone who isn't even 40 years old, and according to the bylaws, they're supposed to be 60. And hasn't even attended one of the Aging Commission meetings. Neither has the mayor, perhaps. She's never been there either. I take issue with this, especially if this person may be married to one of the mayor's staff. So I'm a little concerned with that. That would be a call to conflict of interest. Everyone knows that the mayor gets the opportunity to make appointments for most commissioners in the city, but we don't understand why the mayor seems to be removing the older citizens from all of the commissions and replacing them with much younger people. She has even said that she wants younger people to serve on our commissions. I feel like I am being kicked to the curb after 25 years. I hope that you will consider
30
how
seconds.
volunteering and serving on a city board helps give me, older and retired people, purpose and friendship. With the stroke of a pen, the mayor wants to take away something very important to me that I have worked very hard on. Thank you for your time and your opportunity, and as the signs say outside, be kind, especially to the senior center and to the seniors who are the volunteers of this wonderful community. I will not resign.
Thank you very much, Ms. Klein. Would anyone else? Sorry. All right, would anyone else like to address the council? We would ask that if you please take your time, come to the podium. These are not particularly easy or comfortable seats to get in and out of.
Thank you, Madam President, and honorable council members. My name is Ramona Hadley of 16297 Ellen Drive, Livonia. Ever since my husband and I moved back to the state of Michigan, I have been involved with the Livonia Senior Center, primarily as a participant in their many and varied programs and as a volunteer serving on many of their events at the Senior Center. I've given many, many hours to the efforts to support the staff there, but primarily to make sure that our senior population has a safe, friendly, comfortable environment in which to enjoy their senior years. Often I run into people when I'm working at the book sales, because I've also been working the library book sales for the last 15 years. I've been an active volunteer with seniors most of my life. A part of my work career was working with the National Council of Senior Citizens in Washington, D.C. So I think that I can speak from the perspective of an older citizen of this community, but also as a representative and a voice of the older population in Livonia, which perhaps is too timid to approach this respected body. I often hear comments from the citizens saying, I love the Livonia Senior Center because I feel safe there. Days when I'm feeling down, I can come and have a cup of coffee and always find someone that I can talk to, do a puzzle, join one of the groups, sit in on one of the health classes or exercise classes. We have so many things going on, or we did prior to the pandemic, at the Livonia Senior Center. That was a drop-in center widely accepted by the senior community. I've returned because I do stained glass, and we're one of the small groups that have been allowed to come back. But the reason I'm addressing you this evening is because I received a letter in the mail Saturday afternoon when I returned from working at the book sale that said, I am being terminated from the Council on Aging with no specifics given other than some veiled reference to some ordinances and the fact that Mayor Brosnan has a vision, and somehow she implied that my participation on the commission doesn't share that vision. How would she know? She met me one time, 2 years ago, when my husband and I generously contributed money to the police department, and she shook hands with me out there. Other than that, we have not shared one word. I am a staunch advocate for the seniors in this community, and as long as I'm standing on my own 2 feet, my voice doesn't fail me, I will continue advocacy for the seniors. Thank you.
Ms. Hadley. All right, thank you. Would anyone else like to address the council during the audience communication? Please just come forward to the podium. And we'll ask, because we set aside half an hour, as the next person is getting ready to wrap up, if you would maybe, and you can use either podium. Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. Wes Nichols, 32940 Summer Street. This is actually a continuation of remarks I made in 2019, same topic. I paid my taxes and my water bill both electronically, and each quarter, the city knows that I don't need these, and they just keep sending them. I ballparked a few numbers, and at even 2 cents an envelope, in the 2 years since I last addressed the council has spent over $11,000 just on the envelopes. So I'm hoping that the water departments, or whoever does the billing, can do like the tax collector does and not send envelopes. These are the envelopes that the tax collector has sent. These are what the water bill collector has sent. So I'm hoping that the city will be a better steward of taxpayer dollars, and I hope that I will get something other than or better than a dismissive thank you, which is what I got the last time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Did we have someone else who wanted to address the council this evening?
Are we doing audience performance at the end?
Pardon me?
Yes.
If it's not on the agenda, we're doing audience performance at the end.
Audience communication? No, if it's not on the agenda, it's either at the beginning or the end.
Okay. Do you want us all to go now?
Well, if we still have, how much time do we have left in our,
Oh, 13 and a half minutes.
so we still have time for probably 3 more people this evening during the first session of audience communication.
I'm here to continue to bring attention to.
And could you please give us your name and address?
I'm Crystal Fulton, 13. I wasn't going to tell my address on live communications.
You may give us, if you would give us your street, you comfortable giving us your
Lion Street.
Thank you.
I've been there for 25 years. I have been around here, so I'm here to continue. Did you start my time?
Yes.
Okay, I'm here to continue to bring attention to the city regarding the lack of leadership and lack of accountability with the School Board of Education. We're contacting you with questions and concerns related to the upcoming 21-22 school year. As council members of Livonia, we're asking for you for a clear and direct response to our questions. Governor Whitmer has proposed a plan for the 21-22 school year called the Health of the Whole Child Program. This program includes optional funding for health advocates to perform testing for COVID-19 and other respiratory viruses, including not limited to the flu, as well as the management of immunization records and reporting responsibilities. This is the first question, will Livonia Public Schools be accepting funds from the Health of the Whole Child Program? If yes, what specifically will LPS be using the funds for? Number 2, will Livonia Public Schools be partnering with the Purpose Health Advocates to test students for COVID-19 and or other respiratory viruses? Number 3, will Livonia Public Schools be testing any students for any viruses this year? If yes, which students, how often, and under what circumstances? Furthermore, MDHHS now has released 12 safety recommendations pertaining to COVID-19 prevention and mitigation for the 21-22 school year. These recommendations are not requirements. Include mask wearing, symptom screening, COVID-19 testing, cohorting, physical distancing, and promotion of COVID-19 vaccines. Number 4, will Livonia Public Schools require immunization records partially for COVID-19 or WellCare records for the 21-22 school year? Number 5, will Livonia Public Schools require testing for student athletes? Number 6, will Livonia Public Schools adopt any of the state or local health department's guidance or recommendations for the 21-22 school year? Or will LPS return to in-person learning in the fall as normal, i.e. no masks, no testing, no distancing? Will Livonia Public Schools host COVID-19 clinics or actively promote COVID-19 vaccinations? Will Livonia Public Schools overtly or otherwise implement or condone any extracurricular programs or events related to above-named ideas and agendas? If so, which one? What specific material, programs, or events will be used or promoted?
Okay.
Thank you for your
You're-
attention.
Thank you.
And this is coming from the United Parents of Livonia Public Schools.
Thank you. And we appreciate everyone. This is audience communication for people to show up and communicate with the council on any item not in this evening's agenda. I do want to make sure that everyone, especially those listening and those in the audience, do know that the Livonia City Council and the Livonia City Government does not set any of the policies regarding the public schools. All of the decisions, and I think Mr. Jolly wants to comment too, all of the decisions and policies in Livonia Public Schools are set by the Livonia Public School Administration and the school board. Mr. Jolly, I think you wanted to add something.
I think you said it very well. Thank you for sharing your questions with us. We got them via email as well. We are not in a position in any way to answer any of those questions because we do not have any authority over the Livonia Public Schools, just as Council President said. So thank you for sharing the questions. It's good for us to understand what people are saying in the community. But there is no interaction on those type of things at all from this building in regards to those policies.
Yes, Councilwoman Toy.
If I may, Crystal, have you approached the Livonia School Board at all or questioned them in any way?
Yeah, we were there at the last two previous meetings.
Did they have answers?
We were trying to just see if you could work with us to help us get answers from them, since we're not getting any answers, and we need to choose, do we buy like homeschool supplies? Because we're probably gonna have to tell our kids if this is okay.
I see what your motive is, if you will, yeah.
We'll be there July, you know.
Sure.
All right, we really shouldn't have. Thank you, thank you. Would anyone else like to address the council? We have 8 minutes left, so we do have time. And again, what Mr. Councilmember Jolly and I both said, we appreciate hearing what's going on in the community and being aware of it. We are in no position to direct the school board on policy. They're elected, the school board is elected just as we are to a different organization. They don't direct city policy. So the best approach is to communicate with the school board and the administration. Good evening.
Thank you. I'm Audrey Rogers, and I live on Ladywood Street, and I do want to talk about the same thing, but really I'm just hoping for like maybe advocacy or support for parents, because we're feeling like we have to do this alone. I just want to make you aware of the problem concerning mask policies in the school system. This isn't pleasant to hear that there's damaging effects caused by school policy, but it's important to hear and to be aware of. I have 4 children, and all of them have in one way or another been harmed by the masks that they wear at school. 3 of them are in school. One of my children actually vomited in a mask, and to me, that's a severe health risk. Another one of my children had a much more severe reaction. It was very dangerous. So I just want to bring awareness to this topic and hope that as parents, we're supposed to have the control of the care of our children, but that has been taken away from us by these policies. So I'm looking for support. I'm looking for help to advocate for my kids. I'm doing the best I can to advocate for them. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, anyone else? Are we out of, how much time do we have?
6 minutes.
We have 6 minutes, so we probably have time if one more
You can go right there.
person wanted to address the council during audience communication, please take the podium.
Back closer.
Yeah, okay. Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name's Raina Vendramini. I live on West Chicago Street in Livonia. And I was going to speak similarly to the other two. I know you're not the school board, but I would also like some backup, I guess, as we say, because we've gone to the school board and they're impenetrable. Really quick, we know that, what was it, I'm losing track of my days, it's Monday. Last Friday, MDHHS gave out their recommendations for the fall, right? And they include all the familiar things, the masking, testing, distancing, quarantining, contact tracing, and frighteningly to me, encouraging vaccination. Also, we know that the school boards don't have to follow these recommendations, and there will be no penalties if they don't. However, they've been acting like they have to. We've gone through this whole process already, trying to figure out who makes the decisions, and it is the school board. As we've gone to the last couple of meetings and have brought up to them problems that our children have faced, from students passing out, vomiting in a mask, blacking out for 15 minutes, calling parents, texting from the bathroom, "Mom, Dad, come pick me up, I can't do this anymore." Kids singing and dancing in a 90-degree gym while the audience sits there fanning, unmasked, sweating, and these kids are all covered up, and they won't do anything about it. We want an answer from the board before their meeting in July so that we can make our decisions as parents. I'm ready to pull my kids out if they're going to implement these recommendations, and I've talked to many other parents who said the same thing. We need time to plan, and we need an answer from them. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you. And we certainly appreciate, and again, we appreciate everyone who takes the time to come here any night to talk to us. And we do not, just as we are elected, the school board is also elected. And they are your representatives for every one of the issues that you just talked about. We are not your representatives for those matters. Now, there are some people here who are parents of school-age children, right? You may want to reach out to engage with your efforts, but we are not the people that you elect for those issues. And as such, it would not be appropriate for us to give you the impression that we are, but we do appreciate hearing what's going on in the community and understanding, what our citizens and our residents are thinking. So thank you, and it's not turning a blind eye to what you're saying or not caring about it. We're not elected to take care of those issues. We're elected to take care of a lot of other issues, and I can tell you, when people are happy or unhappy with us, and especially unhappy, we hear from them, and every 2 years or 4 years, they go to the polling places to make their views known as to whether or not they think we're doing a good job. But thank you very much for taking the time.
Madam Chair.
Yes, please.
Just to echo what you've said, you need to contact your legislators and your state senators. I mean, that's where it's at, because whatever the governor's doing, I haven't listened lately, but whatever's happening, that's where you need to go. And individually, as our president has said, some of us can help you individually, but as a group, we don't have those dollars to allocate and instruct where those are going to make those kind of policies. So, you really need to hone in on that, but thank you for coming out tonight. We do appreciate it, your views. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Yes, Councilmember Donovan?
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to echo what our president said. Us not engaging necessarily back and forth isn't silence on a certain issue. It's just that we don't have the authority over those particular issues. But I will say, it's amazing when citizen organizations like you come together for a topic, when you're passionate about it and having your voices heard and doing what you're doing in a respectful dialogue manner. So great work to each of you, and continue to do what you feel is best for you and your families and the things that you believe in. Thank you.
All right, anyone else? And I think with that, we are correct, Council Member White, we have reached the half-hour mark for our first session of audience communication. If there's anyone that did not have an opportunity to communicate with the council on any item not in this evening's agenda during this first session of audience communication, you will have another opportunity to do so at the end of the meeting. As our parliamentarian mentioned, everyone can communicate with the council once during audience communication, either at the beginning or at the end. But thank you, and I'll say what I said at the last meeting. It's really nice to be able to have people here in person to let us know what they're thinking and what they're feeling. It was, we heard from a lot of people on Zoom, but we really appreciate people taking the time and to come see us in person. So, all right, thank you very much. And with that, we move along to the next part of our agenda, and that is reports from the mayor and other city officials. We have a communication from the Department of Finance dated June 4th, 2021, forwarding various financial statements of the city of Livonia for the month ending April 30th, 2021. It's respectfully suggested that the item listed above be received and placed on file for the information of the city council. And at this time, we move on to the consent agenda. This evening, items 1 through 8 that are listed on the consent agenda are voted on as one item. It does not mean that they are any less important than any of the other items on the agenda, but when they were reviewed in our study meeting of June 14th, they were determined not to be controversial in nature. Councilwoman Toy.
Not to interrupt you, but do we need to pull item 7 because we need the new information?
For discussion.
Yeah, right, right.
Are you moving that we pull
I'd like to
item number
offer that
7?
if you wouldn't mind.
Do we have support?
I'll support.
Any discussion on removing item number 7 from the consent agenda? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please take the vote on removing item number 7 from the consent agenda?
I have a motion made by Councilmember Toy. Do I have support?
Yeah, a couple of them.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear it 'cause
I'm
I was
sorry.
busy trying to put it into here, so, okay.
either Donovan or myself.
I think it was Councilmember McCullough.
Oh, I was going next to me.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough?
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic?
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly?
Aye.
Councilmember Toy?
Aye.
President McIntyre?
Aye, and the motion carries, and just for edification, something that I didn't understand at first, the consent agenda, there can be, because it's voted on as one item, there can be no discussion on any item on the agenda. So if we want to have discussion of any item, that item has to be removed from the consent agenda and taken up separately. So we will go to item number 7 after we vote on the consent agenda, which are now items 1 through 6 and 8 on the consent agenda.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Support.
So moved.
All right. Madam Clerk, would you please take the vote on approval of the consent agenda?
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough?
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic?
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly?
Aye.
Councilmember Toy?
Aye.
President McIntyre?
Aye. And the consent agenda is approved by all 6 members of the council here this evening. Are we?
What be the problem?
Are we?
Oh, no, they were just
Okay,
asking.
we're all
what
set, okay. Now coming back to item number 7, and the reason that Council Member Toy has to take this off is because we have new data, which we would like to review. And the new data is a letter to the city council that comes to us from the Livonia Police Department, dated June 24th, and it was an administrative response made by council at the study meeting of June 14th. And during the study meeting, additional information was requested to assess the ratio of non-sworn personnel in positions of emergency management versus sworn police or fire members in positions of emergency management. And the police department provided some additional detailed information on that. And the recommendation for this particular piece of new data is to receive and file. And it was submitted by the Curtis Cade, the police chief, Michael Slater, our finance director, Mr. Bernier, our city attorney, and the mayor. Any, council, I think then we need a motion on item number 7.
I'll move that, Madam Chair, then,
oh,
item 7 if you'd like.
All right, thank you.
I'll second that.
Support from Councilmember Jolly. Any discussion on the motion or the motion that's been offered to approve item number 7? Which is, and I should go back, I'm sorry, and read what item number 7 is. And that is request to approve an increase in the compensation for the Director of Emergency Preparedness. This request came to us from the Department of Civil Service to be in the same compensation as the Senior Police Sergeant. Any discussion, council? Anyone from the audience like to comment on this item?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I just have to say that with all reports and the vision that we had here in the city as we faced this terrible pandemic, it was an outstanding job done by the individual that was our Director of Emergency Preparedness. He went countless hours, and his insightfulness into the problem, which there's no playbook. It was like 9/11. What do you do? I mean, you know, it's just crazy. And Mr. Khan has done an outstanding job. And I just wanted to give him kudos, and I know the rest of the council appreciates that too. Not to speak for all of you, but we've all had comments. What a wonderful job he's done. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Toy. Anyone else? All right, with that, Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll call vote? I'm sorry.
Nothing. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, I
was
didn't know.
trying to get his attention. I don't have my notes.
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough?
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic?
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly?
Aye.
Councilmember Toy?
Aye.
President McIntyre?
Aye, and the motion carries, and the revised compensation schedule for the Director of Emergency Preparedness is approved. And with this, we move on to unfinished business, beginning with meetings of the committee. This is item number 9. This is a report out on the Committee of the Whole meeting of June 9th, 2021. This was the subject matter of petition 2021-01-02-01, submitted by Stein Investment Company, LLC, requesting approval to develop and operate a climate-controlled indoor self-storage facility on property located on the north side of Plymouth Road between Sears Drive and Merriman Road, 31100 Plymouth Road in the southwest quarter of Section 26. This was Council Resolution 152-21, and as I mentioned, we do have new data on this item. It's respectfully suggested that the supplemental information received from John B. Gaber, Williams, Ratner, and Plunkett, PC, dated June 22nd, 2021, with respect to this item be received and placed on file for the information of the council. And I will give I'll give the brief readout and summary of our Committee of the Whole meeting. We had a discussion led by Mr. Mark Taramina, our Planning Economic Development Director, who provided an overview of the proposed project. The petitioner had the opportunity and took the opportunity to present the proposed project in further detail. When we had a discussion regarding the best use for a large and vacant property located on Plymouth Road, and then we had additional discussion on regarding the project investment, and we had both approving and denying resolutions offered regarding the item. Council.
Madam President,
Councilmember Jolly.
I'll offer a denying
Support.
motion.
All right, so a denying resolution that would not, that would deny sorry, we always get a little bit twisted up here with denying resolutions. So Mr. Jolly's offered a denying resolution, meaning that we would, a vote yes, right, is a vote to deny the petitioner.
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we were all understanding. And also, a note, we do not have all 7 members with us this evening, and this, Mr. Bernier?
Yes.
I'm going to ask you just to clarify that in the event of a tie,
You have to have a supermajority. We have to have 5 members if you're going to pass Resolution B.
well, we have Resolution C, which is a denying. That's what's been offered by Mr. Jolly. We had support, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, if it's a tie vote, it fails.
Right.
Okay. On the denying.
On the denying.
Yes.
Okay.
But if it moves on, you still have to have, if it moves on and assuming B gets approved, and then you move on, A gets approved and you move on to B, you still have to have 5 council members approve B for it to pass.
Okay, so in the case of a tie, the motion,
The denying fails.
the denying fails. Okay, thank you, and thank you, everyone. These get a little bit interesting when we have denyings, and I just want to make sure that everyone understands what we're doing, and also since we don't have all 7 members. Please.
Thank you, Madam
Councilmember
President.
Jolly.
I just want to address this item. In regards to the petitioner who brought this before us, they gave us a great presentation. They educated us in terms of what we have in terms of capacity in the city of Livonia. They really gave us some good information. They gave a professional presentation. This is an organization that, by all accounts, we would love to work with in the city. The site that they're proposing to work upon, though, I will speak for myself in saying that I don't think it's the appropriate site. That I want to wrap up as a storage rental facility for potentially the next 30 years. This is a large section of Plymouth Road that I think that we have to always consider using as the highest and best possible improvement for our city. And I'm hopeful that something else will come along that will be able to provide something a little bit more engaging for the residents in that area. With that being said, I would like to congratulate and thank the petitioners for coming out to us. I think this is at least the second meeting they've been in front of us, and I know they had some meetings before that. So if it was somewhere else, I think it would be a different story, but in this particular site, I don't want to see this happen. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Council Member Toy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would concur with my colleague, Mr. Jolly, on several of his points. The other points I would make, after doing business on Plymouth Road for some 43 years with my business, I'm sensitive to what we're putting in, as has been said. And with our Vision 21, as we look further down, we have 2 vacant buildings to the east of that. There's tons of land right there, and I would like to see what possibilities, as time goes in and on, we have a future there. And I'm not so sure that future is what has been proposed here, as Councilman Jolly said, for 30-some years. So it troubles me in that regard. I would like to keep our options open, and that's kind of where I'm coming from as I supported Mr. Jolly's motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else care to, would anyone from the audience like to speak on this agenda item? Please. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Jason Linscott with Stein Investment Group, 5607 Glen Ridge Drive in Atlanta, Georgia. It happens to be hotter here than in Atlanta, Georgia right now, by the way. I appreciate the comments, and particularly thank you for listening to us, hearing the presentation and the different materials that we've provided to the city. I do think that I'm a real estate developer. This is what I've done for over 20 years. I sit on planning boards and I do some of this stuff as well. So I get both sides, and I've done a lot of planning in and around the city of Atlanta and metro area. I don't need to waste everyone's time. If Councilmember Jolly, feels that way and that's the way the city wants to go, we certainly want to be somewhere where it makes sense and the community wants it there. We really felt like when we found this property, we typically find things basically looking for areas of undersupply. So that's what leads us to the location, which was kind of, from our standpoint, was interesting that we got into a supply discussion, because that's really the core reason that we like the site, because it is an undersupplied area, significantly undersupplied. We also like the site because we do a lot of adaptive reuse. We do a lot of multifamily. We have 4 projects going right now that are big multifamily mixed-use projects in the southeast. We do a lot of retail development. And of course, self-storage, which we've done more than 40 of, and are doing in Michigan. We're in Commerce Township and some other areas. When we found this site, it actually seemed like the perfect layup. It's an adaptive reuse in an existing building, which is challenging to do. Something that's sat vacant for a really long time and was really purpose-built for AT&T, its user and owner, for years. It's sat vacant for 6 years now. It's an office building that's functionally obsolete, as we've been through. I don't need to go through it again, but as you guys are well aware, it's not usable. And you can take my opinion, it's also evident that it hasn't been leased, right? And been viewed over, 10,000 times on commercial brokerage platforms. So it's a great adaptive reuse of an existing building. What that also does, and what we liked, is it unlocks the potential for the parking lot. There's an acre and a half there of just vacant parking lot that's there to support an office building that has no tenant. So it's a nice way to reinvigorate a property, activate adjacent property, which what we found is it sort of catalyzes other development. And I have examples. I didn't know what the format was tonight. I brought examples of other ones that we've done in other areas that are very urban, mixed use. There's a lot of apartments surrounding the self-storage, because it's a use the community wants and needs, which is why we like these kinds of areas. So it seemed like a perfect use for it. The staff was very helpful. It seemed like a great fit for the site. We went through the planning commission and received unanimous approval and a lot of kudos on what we were trying to do here at the site. So we sort of felt like it was It was what the city was looking for. It made sense, checked all the boxes that we could imagine. The zoning actually worked. C2 allows self-storage. In fact, the council, as you guys know, added that in 2016 as a use to this zoning with a waiver. And we meet, the waiver has a lot of requirements. We meet all of them. Other self-storage facilities that have been approved in C2 do not meet all of the waiver requirements. This one does. So it just seemed like the perfect fit. So I was a bit surprised when it sort of hit some speed bumps in that last session before the committee of the whole. But I'm happy to go through it. As you know, and you guys hopefully experienced, I'm happy to provide any information and answer any questions. We like to be a part of the community when we develop these things, so I want to make sure everyone likes what we're doing. So appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else from the audience who would like to speak on this agenda item? All right, seeing none, and again, affirmative vote, and I vote is in support of a denying resolution. So you're voting yes to deny the project that the petitioner has proposed.
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough?
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic?
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly?
Aye.
Councilmember Toy?
Aye.
President McIntyre?
No, so the denying resolution carries, and the project is, the item is denied by a 5-1 vote. Thank you very much. All right, and with that, we move on to item number 10. This was a meeting of the Public Safe Health and Environment Committee of June 15th, 2021. We had the subject matter of urban environment concerns. This is Council Resolution 42-20, referred to this committee. Having considered the report and recommendation of the Public Safety Health, actually, no, you will give the report out. I'm sorry, I started. Sorry.
It's all right.
Habits die hard. I'm going to yield the floor to Councilwoman Toy, who's the chair of the Public Safety, Health, and Environment Committee meeting, to report out on the meeting of June 15, 2021, and the outcome of that meeting.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and thank you for appointing me to this committee. Elizabeth Garver was brought in, and Elizabeth is an environmental quality specialist. I hate to say it, but it's Michigan State, Madam President, but that's okay. She's very versed in economic and environmental impacts, and we were honored to have her as a guest. Our Sustainability Committee, Jim Beringhouse and Mike, had referred me to her through the state of Michigan, and we were very pleased to hear her. Both Brandon McCullough is my vice chair on this, as well as Rob, our council member to my right here, is also on our committee. All were present, and we looked at expanding the recycling infrastructure to 45% in Michigan. That would provide 138,000 jobs, $9 billion in labor income, and $33 billion in economic output. Utilizing the 2019 through 20 market development and infrastructure grants. There's grants out there, everyone. That's what was so exciting about this individual coming in. And there's a fund to recycle project which would consist of $1 million for the public, $3 million for private, with a required 20% match from the city of Livonia. If we did anything as far as education in that regard, or looked at bins to increase our bin sizes for recycling, which many residents have talked about. And the application is due August 18th of this year. So they want to form partnerships with cities and to help finance recycling activities of all kinds. As Council President McIntyre pointed out at one of our meetings, part of the problem with recycling and reuse of those materials is the contamination. A lot of people are kind of confused about what to recycle sometimes and how to recycle it. So we were able to look at those kinds of dollars that we could also educate with partnering with our sustainability committee even and our city different departments. So we could designate a drop-off station, initiate recycling partnerships, and the list just goes on and on and on. And they even have a whole public relations program that we could adopt. It has these little raccoons, and they're quite cute. I personally don't like raccoons that much, but these guys, they've dressed them up and given them these clever names, and I gotta tell you that Vice President McCullough was really taken in by the raccoons. So, without anything else, Madam Chair, I would ask you if either one of my members could add to what I've said, but bottom line, there's dollars out there. By August 18th, we're gonna call another meeting right after the 4th of July and see if we can get our arms wrapped around something that will potentially be excellent for the environment and for our city.
And
Thank you.
these are not live raccoons.
No,
Is
no,
that correct?
no, Madam
Okay.
Chair, they're not, no.
The image in my head was. Councilmember Donovan.
Thank you, Madam President. So the raccoons, everybody wants to know about the mysterious raccoons. The program is kind of an educational program, and they have a marketing program, and Councilman McCullough can talk more in depth about the raccoons. He became a raccoon specialist after that meeting. But it was awesome because there's, and someone for me, I thought the educational program was really beneficial to residents, whether you're a new resident or a homeowner here in the city for a long time. I think reaching out to the community and educating them, and it was fairly inexpensive, and from the way I understood it, the program actually partnered with communities, so it was a very low cost, if any cost, to the community. So when you look at a program that is essentially free for us and also helping accomplish something like educating residents about recycling, I think it's a win-win. And it was just an informative meeting, so thank you to our chair, Councilwoman Toy. And I'm looking forward to a future meeting so we can see how we can capitalize on some of the dollars, because the state has the dollars and they're there, and other municipalities are going to take that money, and I'd rather it be our community so we can put that money to work and help with some of our environmental concerns. Thanks,
Thank you,
Madam President.
Councilmember Donovan. Councilmember
Madam
McCullough.
President, yeah, touching base, if you guys get a chance, I won't bore you with it, but recyclingraccoons.org, and there's a whole squad, and basically it's community education. Madam President, you were at the last meeting we had, and we brought up education, right? And educating the community on, you know, what the proper ways are to recycle outside of contamination. But there is, there's one guy called Precious Metal. There's Carlos Cardboard. And it's a real cool marketing campaign to kind of give people the high level. One thing, this is kind of a fun thing we got out of this, because we had Mr. Carmagno on, you know, at the meeting. The two most popular contaminants in Livonia are bowling balls and extension cords. And so the bowling balls kind of were interesting, you know, but that was kind of a funny one. The other thing you guys touched base on, did a wonderful job. There is a program called Next Cycle, and it's another grant program. The state's got a lot of money, and they're looking for innovative recycling ideas, even for bikeways and pathways and bike lanes, which we know that we have some work to do in that field. So free money is always good money, and it looks like we have a pretty good crew, and I think we're setting it up again. Let's go after some of this money, because if not, some other people are going to take it. But recyclingraccoons.org, enjoy that link. It's pretty good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That concludes. We've asked to please leave that into committee while we study it further.
Okay, very good. So
Thank you.
that does not, and items remaining in committee do not require any further action by the city council. Thank you very much to you and your committee members, and I'm sorry that I could not be there. All right, now we move on to unfinished business. Item number 11 is a request to waive the city's noise ordinance. This comes to us from Heather McLaughlin. She's the project manager of Loud and Live to host the Hot Wheels Legends Tour event with live music in the parking lot of Walmart Supercenter located at 29555 Plymouth Road on Saturday, August 7th from 8 a.m. until 12 p.m. Good evening.
Good evening. Yeah, as you mentioned, my name's Heather. I'm actually from Miami, Florida.
And could you give us your address, please, and your business address is fine, or
Yes,
whatever address.
it's 2301 Northwest 87th Avenue. So as you mentioned, it's the
We do need a motion.
Madam President,
Go ahead, go.
I'll offer approving.
Second.
All right, now you don't have to say your name again, because that was my mistake. We need a motion before we can start discussion.
Got it, no problem. So as you mentioned, the Hot Wheels Legends Tour, I'll give you a little bit of a background on what that is. We're actually in our 4th year of the tour, and essentially it is a traveling car show in search for a custom vehicle worthy of becoming a Hot Wheels diecast. So at each location that we have, there's a finalist chosen, and whoever wins the final show gets their car turned into a die-cast car to be sold around the world. I started working on this tour in 2019, and we had 18 stops across the U.S. Obviously, last year we had a bit of a turn when COVID started, so we did one in-person event, but then we switched over to virtual. So this year we're happy to be back doing a few shows. We're only doing 4 in person. The rest are all virtual. So we're definitely wanting to bring it here to Livonia. We did come to Michigan in 2019 and we're in Dearborn. So we're definitely looking to bring it over here. Essentially, the event is going to consist of that car show with predetermined judges, which will include Hot Wheels designers and special guests deciding on the winning car. There also will be activities such as an inflatable Power Wheels track for kids to test out Power Wheels cars under staff supervision, a couple different photo ops, and a DJ, like you mentioned, playing friendly music throughout the event, as well as a couple announcements with the judges. And there will be some giveaways for kids as well.
Thank you. Sounds pretty fantastic. Councilmember Donovan and then Councilmember Jolly.
Thank you, Madam President. I would just like to note that you said you'll have some special guests or VIPs coming. Councilwoman Toyd would love to volunteer to be a special guest for you. No,
Definitely open to it.
no, great job. I think it's a cool event, talking to you a little bit in the lobby, and it sounds like an awesome community event and getting people to come out the area. I'm a car enthusiast, so I'm really looking forward to coming to the event myself and checking out some of the cars. Thank you.
Councilmember Jolly.
Thank you, Madam President. At the beginning of this meeting, I wished a happy birthday to my 6-year-old boy, and he literally asked this weekend for some new Hot Wheels.
Oh.
This is literally an event that is probably, one of those things that's as American as it can get, right? Like so many people have grown up playing with these toys, and I like the idea that this is going to be for adults and children together and kind of bring them together. And we're happy that you brought it to Livonia 104. It's pretty good. So
Yeah.
welcome. Thank you.
And I'm not sure if he's familiar with like the main types of Hot Wheels cars, but there will be 5 life-size Hot Wheels there, like the Bone Shaker, for example, and Twin Mill are usually ones that are there.
Perfect.
All set.
Thank you.
Councilmember McCullough.
Thank you, Madam President. I just, again, through the chair, I just like to thank you guys for doing this, because Hot Wheels, I'm a big kid myself. I have a 7-year-old, so this looks like a great event. And I was gonna say, if you do need special judges, there's a bunch of us up here. Right here, you can pick a guy. I'd be more than happy to do it.
I'll definitely let Mattel know.
Thanks for coming such a long way to present on this, too.
No problem. It also is hotter here than Miami as well.
Right?
Would anyone from the audience like to comment on this agenda item? Seeing none, I would just also like to thank the petitioner for coming from Miami. One advantage we know for petitioners for Zoom meetings was it sure made it a lot easier to participate in the meetings. And as we move forward, right, and learn things about technology, I think that that's one of the things that we realized, right, is that that's a advantage, right, or it makes it easy, especially when people are trying to cover maybe multiple regions at one time.
Mm-hmm.
But we do very much appreciate your effort to come here. Miami's a long way away, and it sounds like a great event. Anyway, if no one else from the audience wishes to comment, Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll call vote?
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough?
Aye.
Councilmember Donovan?
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly?
Aye.
Councilmember Toy?
Aye.
President McIntyre?
Aye, and the motion carries, and the noise ordinance is waived, and I think we're all looking forward to the event.
Thank you, and I'll be back, so.
Pardon me?
I'll be back for the event, so I'll see you
Okay,
there.
and I'd also ask if maybe you would get in touch, I think you've been in touch with Sarah, and just make sure that we've got all the fine details about the event, so we can share it. I'm not sure if it's gonna be on what social media, but if you just make sure Sarah has it, so we can get it in the hands of all the council, and we'll share it.
Okay,
All right.
perfect.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Have a safe trip. Item number 12 is a request to execute the amended 2-year contract between the City of Livonia and the County of Wayne for housing rehabilitation program funding and home buyer assistance funding, homebuyer assistance funding and request to authorize the Director of Housing to approve the 2022 through 2024 home contract funding. This comes to us from Livonia Housing Commission to extend the city's participation in the Wayne County Home Investment Partnership Consortia from July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2024, with an average annual allocation of $100,000 to the City of Livonia resolution, and this covers or encompasses Council Resolutions 36-20, 16-68, Council Resolution 08-15, 39-12, 323-12, 196-11, and 213-09. That was a lot of numbers to get through.
So moved.
Support.
Thank you. Good evening, Ms. Isaacson.
Good evening. Brandy Isaacson, Livonia Housing Commission. I'm just here to request approval to execute the amended 2-year contract between the City of Livonia and the Wayne County Consortium. This allows us to receive approximately $100,000 every year, and we utilize this funding for residents who need home improvement loans or who are purchasing a home in Livonia. They are able to obtain down payment assistance.
Council,
Got an approving.
questions from Ms. Isaacson? Anyone from the audience who'd like to comment or ask questions on this agenda item? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll call vote on the motion to approve the amended plan?
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough?
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic?
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly?
Aye.
Councilmember Toy?
Aye.
President McIntyre?
Aye, and the motion carries, and so we have approved the amended consolidation plan. Now we move on to item number 14, and this is a proposed amendment to the Livonia Code of Ordinances as amended. This comes to us from the Department of,
Madam
oh no, I just realized what I did. I knew I was getting ahead of myself. We are now on item number 13. This is a request for an approval to amend another contract. This is the 2016 through 2021 consolidation plan and the 2019 through 2020 annual action plan. This comes to us from the Livonia Housing Commission to allocate CARES Act funding to the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, to include activities that prevent and respond to the spread of infectious diseases such as the coronavirus disease 2019, also known as COVID-19. These were Council Resolutions 140-20, 178-19, and 181 through 16. Council.
I'll offer an approving.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Donovic. Ms. Isaacson.
The Community Development Office, where the City of Livonia did receive $662,701 in Community Development Block Grant funding to support, prevent, and respond to the coronavirus. We are obligated to notify the public our intent of how we're going to spend these dollars and amend our action plan. So we are actually coming, this is our second substantial amendment. The first one was for business grants and COVID testing. Now we are going back to further our Vaccinate Livonia campaign and do some more business grants and start a mental health support awareness through our senior communities who are severely affected by the COVID virus.
Councilmember Toy.
If I may, Mrs. Isaacson, how will you evaluate that? Who will do the evaluations of the mental health?
So we have an intern from Wayne State who has developed a survey, and we are currently surveying all the residents. It is confidential. We have included not just the city properties, but there's approximately 7 other independent senior living throughout Livonia. And we're starting with the questionnaire. Then we're gonna document our activities, and 6 months from now, we're gonna go back and reissue the exact same survey and document the statistics on that.
And then what will you do with that information? Will we provide counseling? And those communications, I gotta believe, are real sensitive. We don't wanna just, you know, I mean, I know you're cognizant of that. No,
Well,
don't
we
get me
don't want
wrong.
it to be a study. We wanted it to, one of the requirements with obtaining CDBG funding specifically with COVID is we have to have a tieback.
Okay.
Meaning that we have to show that there was a reason why we
Right.
did the activity we did. So that was the purpose of our initial surveying. Throughout this summer, now that everything is getting a little more open up, we have some projects that are planned throughout the communities. We're gonna try to get some food trucks and host some picnics. And
Great.
really, our CDBG program does have a mental health counseling program, so we're marketing that as well to the residents who might need some additional support. There's a couple other programs that we're thinking about doing, like,
Will this only go to seniors above the age of?
62 or older. Or we are able to do the senior communities because they are primarily 60 or older. One of the requirements that we have to follow with the community development is that it has to target a specific demographics of the population, and that is either strictly low to moderate income, or we can do what they call limited clientele. Senior citizens just happen to fall under that without us being required to collect information from them to determine whether or not they're low income. They're just considered a population that would benefit from this.
Yeah, I appreciate that because this is a heck of a lot of money.
It is.
And I'm glad we received this money, but it's a lot of money that our grandchildren and their children will be paying for in the future. So, I just want to make sure that they're mentally okay to handle all this, no pun
Yeah.
intended.
So we've
but,
only allocated about $50,000 towards the mental health efforts.
Okay.
The bulk of it really went towards the Livonia Vaccinate program, and we are gonna set aside some dollars, extra dollars for the business grants.
Excellent.
So the last round, we did 25 business grants. We hope to do about 10 more.
Super. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Toy. Anyone else? Anyone from the audience? All right, Madam Clerk, would you please take the vote on the amendment to this contract?
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough?
Aye.
Councilmember Donavick?
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly?
Aye.
Councilmember Toy?
Aye.
President McIntyre?
Aye, and the motion carries, and the contract amendments are approved.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Isaacson. Now we go to item number 14. This is a roll call vote. This is regarding proposed amendment to the Livonia Code of Ordinances as amended, coming to us as ordinance changes always do from the Department of Law to section 040 of Title 13, Chapter 08, Water Service Rates and Revenues, to provide for changes in the water service consumption rates to become effective with the first billing on or after July 1st, 2021. The first reading was given by Councilmember Jim Jolly at the Monday, June 14th, 2021 meeting.
Madam President,
Councilmember Jolly.
at this time, I would like to offer a second reading on this item.
We have support?
Support. Wait, you don't have
I don't think we need support.
No, we don't need support.
Can I add a couple comments?
You certainly may.
So this item and the next four items are all having to do with the water rates being set in the city of Livonia and various other financial situations in regards to that. These are the most difficult votes we take on an annual basis. These are not votes that we like to take or we like to approve of. But failing to approve of these items and the water rates being set and adjusted would cause the city to run a deficit and the city and the taxpayers paying out of the general fund the money to make up the difference. So these are things that we have to do in regards to keeping the water flowing, essentially, yes. Always appreciate her advice. So again, this and the next four items are annual votes that keep the water flowing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Jolly. Anyone else? Anyone from the audience like to comment on this agenda item? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll call vote on item number 14?
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough?
Aye.
Councilmember Donavick?
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly?
Aye.
Councilmember Toy?
Sadly, aye.
President McIntyre?
Aye, and the amendment is approved, and it becomes, the ordinance change will become effective upon publication in the newspaper. Item number 15 is also a proposed amendment to the Livonia Code of Ordinances as amended, coming to us from the Department of Law to section 050 of Title 13, Chapter 08, water service rates and revenues to provide changes in the water service consumption rates to become effective with the first billing on or after July 1st, 2021. The first reading was given by Council Vice President Scott Barr on the Monday, June 14th, 2021 meeting.
Madam Chair,
Councilmember
in the
White.
absence of Council Vice President Barr, I will offer second reading.
Thank you. Any discussion? One from the audience, seeing none. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll call vote?
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember Donavick.
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly.
Aye.
Councilmember Toy.
Aye.
President McIntyre.
Aye, and the motion carries, and again, the ordinance change will become effective upon publication in the newspaper. Item number 16, also roll call, proposed amendment to the Livonia Code of Ordinances is amended, coming to us from the Department of Law to Section 120 of Title 13, Chapter 20, Livonia Sewage Disposal System, to provide for changes to the sewer disposal and maintenance rates to become effective with the first billing on or after July 1st, 2021. The first reading was given by Councilmember Kathy White on Monday, July 14th, 2021.
Madam President, I'll offer second reading.
Thank you. Any comments? Anyone from the audience? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll call vote on this?
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember Donavick.
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly.
Aye.
Councilmember Toy.
Aye.
President McIntyre.
Aye, and the motion carries, and this ordinance change will also become effective upon publication in the newspaper. Item number 17 is a proposed amendment to the Livonia Code of Ordinances as amended. This comes also to us from the Department of Law regarding Section 130 of Title 13, Chapter 20, Livonia Sewage Disposal System, provide for changes to the special rates for designated uses to become effective with the first billing on or after July 1st, 2021. The first reading was given by Councilmember Rob Donovick at the Monday, June 14th, 2021 meeting.
Madam President,
Councilmember Donovick.
I'd like to offer a second read at this time.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll call vote?
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember Donavick.
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly.
Aye.
Councilmember Toy.
Aye.
President McIntyre.
Aye, and the motion carries, and the ordinance change will become effective upon publication in the newspaper. Number 18 is proposed amendment to the Livonia Code of Ordinances as amended, coming to us from the Department of Law to Section 050 of Title 13, Chapter 28, Industrial Waste Surcharge, to provide for changes in the industrial waste surcharge rate to become effective with the first billing on or after July 1st, 2021. The first reading was given by Council Vice President Scott Barr on Monday, June 14th, 2021.
Madam President,
Councilmember McCullough.
in the absence of Vice President Barr, I'll offer a second reading.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll call vote?
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember Donavick.
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly.
Aye.
Councilmember Toy.
Aye.
President McIntyre.
Aye, the motion carries, and this too will become effective after publication in the newspaper. Item, oh, that's it. All right.
19.
No, but that was our,
That's the last rule.
that was our.
All the
that was
water.
the end of the water. That was the end of the water
That
and
was
the
the end of the
sewage
flow,
items.
yes.
All right. Number 19 is also a roll call vote on a proposed amendment to the zoning ordinance. Number 543 is amended. This too comes from the Department of Law regarding petition 2020-112-01-07 submitted by Tissio Architects Incorporated for a change of zoning of portions of the shopping center property at 19043 through 19053 Middlebelt Road and 29475 through 29493 7 Mile Road located on the west side of Middlebelt Road between Clarita Avenue and 7 Mile Road in the northeast quarter of Section 11 from C1 Local Business and P Parking to C2 General Business. The first reading was given by Kathy White on Monday, March 22nd, 2021.
Madam Chair, I'll offer second reading.
Any discussion? Anyone from the audience? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll call vote on this amendment to the zoning ordinance?
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough.
Aye.
Councilmember Donavick.
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly.
Aye.
Councilmember Toy.
Aye.
President McIntyre.
Aye, and the motion carries, and the zoning change will become effective upon publication in the newspaper. Item number, oh, I'm sorry, I thought someone was, did you? Okay. Thank you. All right.
Somebody's
Is it
bowling.
Thunder or Mark Taramina? We don't know. We don't know. Item number 20, it's a waiver petition. This comes to us from the Planning Commission regarding petition 2021-03-02-06, submitted by Tissio Architects Incorporated to construct a freestanding building with drive-through facilities and to add a drive-up window facilities to the southern end unit of the shopping center on property located on the west side of Middle Belt Road between Clarita Avenue and 7 Mile Road 19043 through 19053 Middle Belt Road and 29475 through 29493 7 Mile Road in the northeast quarter of section 11. And as I indicated at the beginning of the meeting, we have new data on item number 20. And that is a preliminary site plan, signage, enlarged outlot site plan, and signage, site details, elevations, drawing, identified as sheet numbers P1, P2, and P5, all received June 15, 2021, as revised, prepared by Tissio Architects, be received and placed on the file for the information of the council. Council.
So moved.
Support.
Support from Donovic. Any discussion? Councilmember Jolly.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Tissio, when you were before us last, I asked you to inquire of the developer whether they would be willing to place a mural on the back of the larger building on this, the larger building that is existing. Indications that we received via email from you indicated that they were willing to do that.
Yes, sir.
Can you provide us any details with that conversation?
As was suggested, I'd contacted the dean at Lawrence Tech and asked him if that could be a student project, and he said it most certainly can. So he's willing to incorporate it into one of the classes, either in the summer, I suspect it'll be the fall though, in talking to the dean. So we'll see what happens. We will have a competition, I guess, for the students in one of the design classes to see what they can come up with. And the owner's obviously willing to do that. I spoke to him and he says, good idea, let's do it.
So for some background in regards to this, even though we talked about it last time, we're looking at approximately 200 feet of a long blank white wall that will be utilized, as a through alley for a drive-up window facility. It is somewhat visible from 7 Mile Road, but in a non-direct kind of way. I would like to have the approval reflect that such a mural would be approved and appropriate. I think doing things like this, especially when we have such a blank canvas, is appropriate and might be something interesting for our community going forward when we have the opportunity to do so. I know when I go to cities like Detroit, who have utilized murals in a way to kind of add some kind of artistic flair, I always appreciate them. So I'd like to offer that at this time.
We can accept it. We'll accept
Yes,
it.
we can certainly accept that.
Thank you, and I thank Mr. Tissio for doing the legwork here. Thank you.
And that, Paul, that just becomes part of the,
Yes,
right?
yes. What I moved down was moved by Councilmember Toy, support by Councilmember Donovic, assuming it's all yes, with the requirement that an artistic mural be placed on the blank wall of the building.
All right.
In good taste, that is.
Just what, I'm going to go to I'm going to go to Councilmember McCullough, but before I do that, I'd just like to thank Mr. Jolly, who I believe is the one who first made this request. And Mr. Tissio was happy to take it and consider it, and public art is just a great thing. And thank you, Mr. Jolly and Mr. Tissio,
Thank
for
you.
Your leadership in this, and it was a great idea. Maybe I should save my comments until I actually see what the mural is, and
It would be tasteful.
yeah.
I'm looking at some of the judges right here.
Mr. Bernier, can we please let the resolution reflect that?
Whose taste?
Exactly, well, that is true.
There
Anyway,
might be any Jim Jolly logos on there.
Councilmember McCullough.
Thank you, Madam President. Just wanted to give a shout out. I mean, there's been a lot of work that went into this project. And I know we stated it before that, with our city being nearly built out, trying to be innovative with what we have. And sometimes it's hard to look at, and when you're proposing a drive-through through such a stretch like that. But again, kudos to Councilman Jolly pairing up on this. I have hope and faith that this is now the standard. This will be a good focus center of what you can really do with redevelopment. So you got a lot on your shoulders here on this one, between that and the mural, so.
Gee, thanks, but thank you.
No,
yes.
great
I have
work
big
all around,
shoulders.
and thanks for working, kind of diligently, I know we met out on site looking at
Yes.
things, so I appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, anything else? Mr. Tissot, anything else? Anyone from the audience who'd like to comment on this agenda item? Seeing none? Madam Clerk, would you please take the vote on approval of the site plan?
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough?
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic?
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly?
Aye.
Councilmember Toy?
Aye.
President McIntyre?
Aye, and the motion carries, and the waiver petition is approved. Thank you, Mr. Tissot. And we now move on to new business, and starting with item number 21. This is a request to approve a resolution opposing Senate Bill 446 and House Bill 4722. This comes from the Department of Law to prevent the state legislature from preempting local zoning laws regarding short-term rental properties. Mr. Bernier, did you?
Sure. As the council is aware, the state legislature has a habit of wanting to take away our local control. And this is yet another example of them trying to preempt our local control when it comes to short-term rentals. The Michigan Municipal League has asked us, and we are in complete agreement, that we would like to send a message to Lansing that we are absolutely opposed to their preempting our local control when it comes to short-term rentals. We believe it is something that is best left to the local community to determine whether or not and to what extent they want short-term rentals.
Thank you, Mr. Bernier. Council? We need a motion.
Madam President, I'll offer approving or support. Support.
Wait. You offered approving?
Approving, yep.
Yeah,
Support.
you offered approving.
Okay.
Madam President?
Yes,
Yeah.
Councilmember Donovan and then Councilmember Toy.
So on this issue, it's important to me because this is the state trying to take away local authority over something that is different from each individual community. Livonia, in terms of rentals, whether they be long-term or short-term, are going to be drastically different than Traverse City, for instance. So the state coming in and giving some sort of mandate that treats all of these the same is just different. I think the local communities have the intimate knowledge in respect to their communities and what's best for their individual cities. So that's why I'm supporting this, and it's my hope that the state allows local municipalities to handle these sorts of issues at that local level, as we as a community most recently have. And I think the state coming in and taking that power away from you is only going to be a negative impact on our community. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilmember Donovan. Councilmember Toy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say thank you to the Law Department for being proactive on this issue. It's been kicked around the legislature for some time. I had mentioned it when we were going through some of those kinds of decisions we were trying to make on short-term and long-term or no-term kinds of issues in our own community. You strongly believe in local control when you sit on this side, but when you go to Lansing, you also believe in somewhat of state control, and you identify those by sometimes population, how many, so that you can control those resort areas more and decipher who perhaps it best suits as you craft the legislation. So there's a lot yet to go on this bill, from what I understand, 446, which is a Senate bill, and then 4722, which is a House bill. And it'll be kicked around in committee. It may never see the light of day, but I think, again, we are very smart to be proactive as a city, and I'd like to see us do more of that up there, because we don't have a lobbyist that lobbies for the city of Livonia. We are a large city. We do have a large impact, and, our senator and our rep do the best job they can do, but it goes beyond that because of term limits and the newness in regards to what the state experiences and what those new legislators can experience at times. So just from my, experience levels there, thank you very much, Paul, and your staff for doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone from the audience? Mr. Tissot?
Yes, Ben Tissot. Thank you for whoever brought this up. One of the very first things I learned a couple hundred years ago when I was in school, in my planning class, is that communities have the right to their own identity through the zoning ordinances. and I applaud you for taking this action on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Tissio. Mr. Bernier, point of information, to whom does the gavel go when the vice president's not here? Go to the
I think
seniority?
senior member.
Senior in terms of experience or age?
Size.
I've now passed the gavel to Council Member Toy. It would normally go to the Vice President, who's not here this evening, and just briefly, we've had, I don't even know how many hours of meetings we've spent on the Airbnb issue, and I don't say that with any exasperation. We've spent valuable hours listening to people who've had Airbnbs next to them, whose lives have been disrupted. We've heard from people who've had Airbnbs and had very good experiences. And when we first had the first discussion last year, probably, or the year before, we cautioned everyone who was there who felt very strongly about this, that they needed to pay attention to what was going on in Lansing, because we saw the storm clouds, if you were, on the horizon, and what's happening here is Lansing feels that they know better than every community as to how Airbnbs and other short-term rentals should be managed in a community. And this is a blatant attempt of overreach, and also violates very much the principle of local control that says essentially everything that does not have to be managed by the state government should be left to municipalities to manage. So needless to say, I feel very strongly that we need to go on record to approve a resolution. Once again, we're approving a resolution opposing the Senate bill. And I would also ask everyone to consider getting in touch with your state legislators. And even if they oppose this, to just make sure they understand how strongly their community feels and their constituents. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay,
Madam Chair?
any other discussion? Yes, go right ahead, Councilwoman.
I know that based on my tenure with the law department, one of the great benefits to the city is the close connection that the law department keeps with the Michigan Municipal League. And I know that practice is continuing, and when things like this come up, the Municipal League is really, it provides a lot of leadership, and I think as long as we keep those lines of communication open, it helps us in the fact that we don't have a lobbyist in Lansing. So thanks to the law department.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Anyone else from the council? Seeing and hearing no one, anyone from the audience wishing to speak to this issue? Hearing and seeing no one, would the clerk please take the vote?
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough?
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic?
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly?
Aye.
President McIntyre?
Aye. And
Councilmember Toy?
Thank you, yes.
old habits die hard. Thank you. And did you want to say that the motion carries?
Yeah, the motion does carry.
And we have approved the
6.
resolution opposing the Senate bill.
Yes, and we oppose the resolution opposing the Senate bill. Thank you
Well,
very much.
again, there's always some confusion when we're voting in favor of denying. All right, with that, we go back to the audience. If there's anyone in the audience who'd like to communicate with the council on any item not on this evening's.
Motion to suspend the rules, Madam Chair.
Hit the X item.
Got a next item.
I know, but we have audience
Go
communication.
ahead.
Where is that?
Okay.
General. Or no?
I don't think normally we do. We go
Okay,
back to
well,
them first.
all right, okay, well, my apologies, once again. Okay, do we have a motion to suspend the rules?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
All right, and with the, any discussion? We have a motion to suspend the rules when we have an additional item that's been placed onto the agenda as somewhat of a emergent in nature. Madam Clerk, would you please take the vote on the motion to suspend the rules?
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough?
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic?
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly?
Aye.
Councilmember Toy?
Aye.
President McIntyre?
Aye, so the rules are suspended, and that allows us to go to our, do we have one X item this evening? And it's X1, a request to approve the extension of a joint declaration and resolution permitting temporary outdoor dining areas during the COVID-19 emergency. This comes to council from the City Council President, myself, Kathleen McIntyre, and Mayor Maureen Miller-Brosnan to allow for the approval of temporary outdoor dining areas in connection with the existing full and limited service restaurants in the city of Livonia.
Madam Chair, I'll offer approving.
I'll support.
All right. Mark, did you want me to handle it, or Paul, or did you want me to? Or did you want to? We had, I can't even remember when, sometime last spring, last summer, the council president and the mayor asked the council if they would consider an amendment to our normal rules for approving outdoor dining areas because of the COVID situation where indoor dining was prohibited or greatly limited. And the council approved that. And then when, at some point, we agreed to extend it through Labor Day. It was expiring at some date, and we extended it through Labor Day, or I guess thank you, Paul.
We actually, we extended it until the governor's, till the emergency was over by MDHHS. And that came upon us quicker than anybody had anticipated. In addition, council president, the mayor, and various other members of council looked at the amount of money that some people have put into these additions, and we thought, I think that everybody in the city thought, for the benefit of the small business owner, that it would be a good idea to extend this until September 30th, the end of the summer, because it seems to be very popular. I do have to point out, though, that after September 30th, I don't think there'll be an emergency anymore. We're relying upon the Wayne County resolution of an emergency for this. And at that point in time, that if somebody actually wants to have this, they'll have to go through the regular waiver process.
So, thank you, and I shouldn't have tried to handle it myself, I should have left it to the professionals. But in short, we are allowing restaurants to continue with the temporary process through September 30th, because at the time, restaurants had to make a decision this year as to whether they were, what they were going to do, right? Because if you're going to go through the normal process, there's a lot required, and it generally requires a significant expenditure to set up a permanent outdoor dining area. And at the point when restaurants were having to make those decisions this spring, it wasn't clear at all what was going to happen with COVID. And so we thought it was important to allow restaurants that continued flexibility through the end of or through September. And then at which time, as Mr. Bernier pointed out, we would go back to our normal approval process. Donovan.
Thank you, Madam President. I have a comment and then a question. I think this is a great program so far. COVID, a year from now, seems so unknown, and it still relatively is unknown, but restaurants still had to operate, and at that time, there was really strict rules on indoor capacity, and then all of a sudden, there was no indoor capacity allowed. So allowing the restaurants to still operate and have some sort of outdoor seating, I think is indicative of us as a community and how we're willing to partner with our small businesses, who are the backbone of our economy. So I'm hoping that moving forward, there's still some clarity offered to businesses, for instance, the ones that currently have the outdoor seating. And this leads into my question, either for Mr. Tormina or Mr. Bernier. What happens to the restaurants that have included this outdoor seating now that didn't go through the traditional process during the COVID? Do they have to tear everything down and close up shop? Or are they grandfathered in, so to speak, because they did this during the COVID time? Or do they have to go through a new process, even though they already have the outdoor seating built?
If you want, Mr. Termine, I'll handle part of it. When we did all three of the ordinances, all three of the resolutions, we specifically put in there that this vests no rights in the restaurants beyond what we are granting for this limited purpose. A lot of us in the city actually like it, but there is a process that people have to go through. This was a temporary resolution to try to give the businesses relief during this emergency. At the end of September 30th, if they have not gone through the waiver process or the process required by the city, those businesses will not be allowed to operate outdoor anymore. So they will, this was, again, designed for a short-term fix for a pandemic problem that we'd never seen before. It wasn't designed to vest rights in anybody. In fact, this one, as do all of the resolutions, indicate that there is no vested right, and when the emergency is over, so is this resolution, and we go back to the regular way of doing business.
Thank you. Councilmember Jelly.
With that being said, I hope this experience for the restaurants will encourage them to seek such approvals going forward, because I think it's been an added convenience and something a little bit nice to have in our community. Thank you.
Councilmember McCullough?
Thank you, Madam President. Just to touch base, is it, and maybe this is more of a recommendation for staff, but any of the company or any of the restaurants out there that do have this, this special temporary use, it might not be a bad idea to maybe even provide them an education tool on the process to do a permanent structure. I know we've had some things before us, whether it was Thomas's adding something, and this is turning into the new norm, but I know a lot goes into it, especially with the construction process and approvals with council. Just a friendly reminder, rather than, you know, September 30th coming, and then we start handing out any kind of violations.
Mr.
Just a
McCullough,
thought.
just so you know, part of the approval process for this was that the businesses had to go through the inspection department in the
Okay.
first place. And so, because we wanted to make sure that these were not just thrown up, but they were in fact safe for both the employees and for the patrons of the restaurants. So we went through an approval process. It was just an abbreviated and we changed our rules a little bit to make it easier to go through it. At the time we did that, we had them sign off on the resolutions that they knew that at the end of this period of time, it was over and that they would have to go back to the regular system. So every one of them was apprised of that at that time. And I think that the contact we get from them, I think they all know at some point in time it's coming due.
But I mean, in the event that they were looking for a permanent structure, obviously if the business were, you know, a welcoming addition, obviously, I think a lot of them have noticed. If they wanted a permanent, to go through the process, you know, educating them on, you know, the obviously site plan, maybe a lot of them don't know, and, you know, before 9:30 hits. But yeah, I'm sure they obviously know, and it's, the light at the tunnel is coming to an end, but, at least for me personally, it's been pretty awesome to go out to these restaurants and, you know, be a patron outside too, so.
Not tonight.
Not tonight, not tonight.
And Paul?
Yes.
I know, am I permitted to make an explicatory
Sure.
remark? I do know that all these restaurants, that's a great suggestion, Councilmember McCullough. These restaurants have been and are in constant contact with Mr. Taramina and Mr. Hanna. And Mr. Taramina and Mr. Hanna are always looking, and Mark's always looking for ways to get our businesses to figure out ways to expand. But I think that's a good reminder that we want to encourage them to do this, make this permanent. All right, anyone else? Okay, we can take the vote. Madam Clerk, if you would please take the vote.
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember McCullough?
Aye.
Councilmember Donovic?
Aye.
Councilmember Jolly?
Aye.
Councilmember Toy?
Aye.
President McIntyre?
Aye, and one item is approved, and our temporary dining establishments that have outdoor facilities may stay in business through the end of September. At this time, we go back to audience communication. If anyone in the audience would like to communicate with the council on any item not on this evening's agenda, now is your opportunity to do so. Seeing none?
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
All right, before I call adjournment, I do have a question. Do we have to redo the whole meeting, because I am using a Livonia Zoning Board of Appeals gavel? So I hope that does not invalidate the last 2 hours. All right, motion to adjourn. We are adjourned. We will reconvene here at 9 o'clock for the study meeting. I apologize for everyone on the study who's been waiting patiently.
Do you have any food in your office?
Pardon me?